Hello, good afternoon. I'm back here. My name is Vivian Davids. I'm the lead professional of Ziva Better Team. And we're here live on Early Years Educators Africa to discuss a very pertinent issue, something that has been of a concern to all of us as parents, as educators, as stakeholders, as government, and as those who are interested in the well-being of the Nigerian child and as children all over the world. What is happening now was not planned for. The COVID-19 pandemic was not something anybody planned for, So you can see, I tried to come live a few minutes ago, and then my network went off. I tried to connect, very difficult to connect. I tried to use different networks that I've been able to get, but none of them were connecting. That is one of the problems that we're facing as educators, even in this era of e-learning. That is one of the problems that we face as parents, even in this era of e-learning. Imagine me coming live and having to go off because of problem with internet. And this is a problem that confronts us on daily basis. And internet connectivity is just the basic. Is the basic when you have to do with e-learning, is the basic requirement needed for e-learning to happen. And we're going to look at a reflection of what is happening, a reflection of how we perceive this pandemic, a reflection of how the children are taken it, a reflection of what parents and how parents see it, a reflection of how educators are taking it. And that is why we have decided that today we'll be looking at the e-learning and how can parents and school work together to ensure that we provide this optimally for our children, and where do our children stand in all of this. So like I said earlier, internet network is the basics. And what happened this afternoon, I came live a few minutes ago. Thank you for those who came live with me, and then I was off, and that's for a few minutes, and sometimes parents don't have patience for all of this. Educators don't have patience for all of this. But that is the state of our nation. That is where we are now. And how can we support? What do we do at times like this? How can we help at times like this? Welcome you all, and I want to appreciate all of you who came live with me earlier on and who are still live with me. So today we're discussing how can we work together as parents and as school at this era. This is something that is novel to many people. Just this afternoon, I was in discussion with a parent, and the parent was like, oh, look, this e-learning started too early. We didn't even have time to breathe. Most schools started bombarding us with resources from day one, from March. Some children have been going bumper to bumper. They've been like that. They've been learning, and they're still learning. They started from beginning. They started from since the school closed down. Some people have started learning with their children. Some schools have been flooding parents with a lot of resources, with a lot of platform, with a lot of learning activities for the children. So they've been engaging the children. The children have not even had time for a pleasant holiday. It's enough that they are confronted with this pandemic, and with all of this happening from school, from home, and then some parents are becoming overwhelmed. What do I do? This is just too much for me. We've been on this from the beginning, from March, and we're still on it, And like I said earlier this afternoon, when this parent called me, he said he saw my flyer, and he decided to call to let me know his take on this. He said, Ms. Davis, don't you think this was just too much? As a parent, I feel overwhelmed because from the beginning, these teachers have been flooding us with a lot of information that I didn't even know where. At the point I couldn't count, I couldn't continue. I had to stop on the WhatsApp group because I couldn't meet up. I opened up in the WhatsApp group. There's a lot of resources to download. There's a lot of activities for my child to do. So I didn't know what to do. This is a parent's perspective. And then asking us to continue at this time. This is a parent's view. He's already feeling overwhelmed, and I don't know how long this is going to take. So how do we feel as parents? What do we feel about this situation? How are we taking this as a parent? Are you like the parent who spoke to me this afternoon complaining that this has been ongoing for too long? That these schools have been engaging them since March. They've not had a breathing space. They've not even enjoyed their children because it's been one activity after the other. I know somebody out there will say, but it's optional. They can decide to engage or not to engage. But there's a psychology that goes with that. If somebody feels that he's left behind, if somebody feels his or her child is left behind, that person would not be happy about it. There is a psychology behind it. So most people want I don't want my child to be left behind. Yes, you have your mind of your own. Why didn't you have your mind of your own and decide what you want for a child? Somebody will say, somebody listening to me can say, but then you're not that parent. Everybody have a level of emotional intelligence. Everybody know how to engage and how they manage situations that come around them. So the question today is, what is your take about this e-learning? How have you taken it? This ongoing new trend. How are you seeing it as a parent? How are you coping as an educator? How has it impacted upon you as an educator? How have it impacted upon you as a parent? How do you take all of this? What is happening to you? How are you seeing it? What is your perspective as a parent? What is your perspective as an educator? And I would like you to please share your experiences, share your opinions with me as we go on this ride. Like I said, I want it to be a reflective meeting. I want us to think about it, a reflective discussion. Let's explore it and think about it. And let's think about the child. Where is our children in all of this? How are they taking all of this? How are they feeling? How are they coping in their social and emotional development? How are they seeing this process? How have you prepared them for what lies ahead? How have they coped this long? Because some schools have started this e-learning since March, from the beginning when the school was shut down, and they're still on it. So has the children had a break? Have you thought about the break for the child? How many hours have you engaged the child? Have you thought about the screen time for the child? Was there proper planning? Did you engage with the parents to know what they feel and how they take this? A lot of complaint has come from the parents' quarters. Some feel, like this. Yesterday I also got a call and somebody said, the parents are no longer engaging on the platform with me as they used to. And then they said their data, some said the network, some said, they want to go back to work, and because they're going back to work, they don't have the time for all of that. So how have you carried the parents along? How do you take this? And I get from the perspective of educators. You all know as educators, when children have to go off and they go on holiday, when they come back from the long vacation, especially the summer holidays, they come back to school. When they resume for the autumn, for the first term, you seem to be asking, but they say they've taught you this. How come you've forgotten? That is because the longer the children stay away from learning, the more they forget. So the research have shown that they forget more. So if they stay away for 10 days, they have 1% of forgetting what they have learned before. So teachers, educators are eager to fill that gap. One, for the best interest of the child. They also want to fill that gap to remain relevant today. So they can say, we are doing something. They also want to fill that gap because some people will say, we want to make sure that we get something for our teachers so that our school can keep running. They also want to fill that gap for one reason or the other. We want to keep our clients. Look at what is happening. There's a lot of flyers going around for e-learning. Even some schools are beginning to advertise for others to join them in their e-learning. So what happens to my school if my parents go to this other school, and then when the school resumes, I will have no parents to come back to me? So because of that, they are jumping into the e-learning even without preparing. So there's a lot happening. And in all these decisions we are taking, have we taken into cognizance the child? Have we reflected on how our children are coping? Have we carried them along? Have we had a discussion with them? What at school? I know at school now, a lot of meetings have been done with parents. That is if you're even meeting with parents. Some schools are not even discussing with parents. That is even a big problem. It's a huge problem when you don't carry the parents along. When you don't let them know. The communication at this time is very, very important. You cannot do without communication. So if you're not carrying your parents along, you are far, 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 far behind. Because those parents, if you don't carry them along, they will go on and do whatever they want to do and make their decisions. So carrying the parents along is one way, and also carrying the children along is another part, another side of the coin, which is very important. So the floor is open. How are you coping? Thank you, Faith. Thank you, Mr. Rotimi. You came on board, and thank you, Miss Beatrice. I really appreciate you guys. So let's have a discussion. Like Faith is saying, preparation is key. So how prepared are we? How prepared are you as educators? How prepared are you as parents? Have you prepared the parents? Parents are complaining on some platform they're overwhelmed. Why are they overwhelmed? Did you prepare them psychologically? Did you prepare them emotionally? Did you let them know what lies ahead of them? Remember, not all of them are trained educators. You will say, yes, the parents are the first educators to their children. But then they are confronted with a lot of issues. So how prepared have you, how far have you gone in your preparation for your parents? And then how are the children coping? And if there's anybody watching me today, I'd like to know your take. How are the children coping? Yes, initially some said to me the children were excited. You know, some children were given gadgets, some were given one another, to be able to engage. Yes, that's initial excitement. How has it been going forward? Is this excitement still there? Are the parents still as excited? Are the students still as excited as they were from the beginning? Are they still engaging in that discussion? Are the children still engaging effectively? How have you managed this transition for them? How have you managed it when they are not having that social interaction with you as they used to? How have you been able to prepare them emotionally to know that this is what is happening and this is transitional and this is where we are? And then how have you helped them to cope with the present situation? So what have you done? A teacher said to me, oh, I've been calling my children, I've been speaking to them, and that has been helpful. Well done if you've been doing that, because that's helpful for their emotional development, for them to know, oh, my teacher cares. Because like I said earlier, when we started this process, we're looking at the social emotional development and perspective to all of this to the children. How are they coping emotionally? And we said to them, they would have been missing their friends, they would have been missing social interaction, they would have been missing their school, they would have been missing all that happens within the 4 walls of schools. And they've had to stay with their parents 24/7. How do you think the child is feeling in all of this? Not even allowed to go out of the school, not allowed to have out of the home, not allowed to have any form of social interaction with other children. What they've been doing now is on screen, just like I'm talking to you. And you agree with me that is not good enough. That's what we have now, but that is not good enough. Not every child can cope with it, Faith is saying to me, pet talk with the parents and what their take is very important. Very true. Have you had a pet talk with your parent? Somebody was asking me last week, how do we engage online with early years children? And I said to him, and I said, you need to engage with your parents. You need to carry the parents along. You need to know what works for them. Because from the parents' perspective, I'm also getting, oh, I'm the one doing all of the work. I'm the one teaching the child. I'm the one engaging. I'm the one doing the singing. I'm the one holding the phone. I have to hold the phone all through. I have to hold the laptop, be on the laptop with the child all through. I have to direct the learning. I'm actually the one doing the teaching. So why do you ask me to pay for that? If you have carried that parent along, maybe that parent will tell you, oh, this is what will work for me. A voice note may work for me. Maybe dropping videos may work for me. That is why, just like Faith said, having that discussion with the parent is very, 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 very important. And I would like to hear more of your opinions about what has worked for you. This is Faith still saying, even though most parents feel they are not getting value for money, yes, most parents feel they're not getting value for money. Most parents feel that just having a WhatsApp platform, having a Zoom platform, having a Google platform is not like going to school. So why ask me to pay? And that is why we have said, and government have said, this is not 13. This is just, people are trying to, the school is trying to bridge the gap. They're trying to keep the children engaged, so the children don't come back, forgetting all that they've known, what they've been taught before. So thank you, Miss Faith, for this. Thank you, Miss Harrietta is saying very educative. Thank you, Mrs. Davis. You are doing a great job. Thank you, Mom. I really appreciate. Bottom line is that the children are the major focus. Yes, absolutely. We should focus on the children, and I want to hear more from those of us who are educators. I want to hear more. What do you think? How can we support the children at this time? Here is a parent's perspective. He said, we think that the schools took this whole COVID thing overboard. Okay, above board. This whole online learning is too soon and was rushed and dumped on us. See, a parent's perspective, and this is relating with this is relating a parent's perspective to them. They feel that this COVID thing was too soon and it was dumped on the parents. The parents feel that this was dumped on them, that this thing was too sudden, and they felt that it was too sudden for schools to have moved all of this to them. Do you feel that way as a parent? This is a parent writing to us to let us know how his or her take. And I did mention that this was too sudden and it came to them too sudden. And they have to do this teaching beginning from March, and they're still doing teaching. And then the children are still going on board, they're still doing it. Now we're starting with May, they're still learning. And this learning will continue. Only God knows how long this is going to take. Faith is saying another way is planning the lesson with the parents. Involvement is also very key. So you see, getting the parents. So we cannot but carry the parents along in all that we're doing. He said we try to send work home with a guide. Let's see, with a guide to support. So if we're sending work home with a guide, then how do you think these parents are taking this? If they think that they're the ones doing most of the teaching, and as a parent, what have you learned in all of this? Has this opened you up to understanding your child better? To understand your child's mode of operation, learning style, mode of engagement? Have you taken the positive from all of this to understand your child better and know how your child's teacher, if your child's teacher have been giving you a feedback, have you been able to bring to light that feedback you've been receiving from school and engaging with your child now? How has it all played out? Like Mom Miss Faith is saying that they give work to parents, so parents have a lot to do with their children. So let's say from the parents, let's see the good in this. Have this helped you to engage better, to understand your child better? Like I did tell you, that this is like a reflective meeting. We're going to reflect on this process, and we're going to look at it. How have we worked? What has worked? What has not worked? Most parents feel they are not being carried along. They don't even know what the school is doing, and they feel that they're being bombarded with a lot of resources, with a lot of engagement, with a lot of assignments, and they cannot even cope. Some of them have left the platform because they can't cope. And some schools are feeling, we need the parents we want to engage the parents so that these parents will come back to us. They will see how effective we are as a school. They need to know that we know how to do it. We know how to do e-learning. We know what to do. And we also need to know that this age has brought to bear that technology cannot be ruled out. We understand that. And some schools have been swimming in this for a long time. So the children are not even feeling it because it has been their mode of operation to use e-learning as part of their learning style, learning method for their children. So sometimes they give children assignments and they have them to submit online. So this is not new to them. It's been smooth transition for the children. But what about the children who have not been used to all of this, and they are being forced to stay on the screen and talk to teachers on the screen? How have this impacted upon the children? I still want to hear your feedback. I hear here somebody saying, dump to me, left for me is not okay. Dump to me is not the case. The educators are experts in their field and know what it is to become the children on resumption. Yes, Ms. Faith is saying here that educators know what will happen on resumption, so they are trying to avoid that for the parents. I hope the parents are listening and hearing this. He says, sadly, parents have to play a major role to ensure learning takes place. That is, to this extent of COVID-19 has placed on us. That is what COVID-19 has placed on us, and it's all about sacrifice. She said it's all about sacrifice. All right, let me hear you. Another parent has said, now that the lockdown in Nigeria is gradually being lifted, how am I going to combine assisting my child e-learning and going to work? Good question. Educators in the house, how do we relate to this? A parent is asking, now that the lockdown is being relaxed, now that it's being eased down and the parents have to go back to work, how would the parents monitor the child's learning time? How would the parents cope with this? And especially parents with very young children, how do they cope with this? Kidona here is saying, teachers also need to prepare engaging lessons that excite and inspire critical thinking when parents see their children enthused about learning online. They will be willing and pay for the services. Okay, I hope you get that. They'll be willing and pay for the services rendered. School need to ensure this happen. Now this is a perspective of an educator, that when you engage the parents effectively, the parents will see that there is a gain in what they are doing and they want to pay for the service. So it is not about asking parents to pay for the service, it's also giving them content, good enough content that will make them want to pay for the service they're receiving. If your content is not rich enough, the parents will ask you, what you're delivering, I can get it on YouTube. What you're delivering, I can get it anywhere online. So why ask me to pay for it? So good one. Thank you for that contribution. I need to hear more of your contributions. And Ms. Faith is still saying, take it or leave it. Children are having emotional and psychological effects of having to stay at home. Absolutely. So this effect on children, how are we coping with it as educators? I saw on one of the platforms I belong to, a teacher was posting a timetable for us to see what the parent was posting a timetable of what has been sent home, and on that timetable the children had about 6 lessons in a day. 6 lessons in a day online. A young child under 10 having 6 lessons online, each of these lessons to take 1 hour each. How are we thinking about the parents? Let me talk on the perspective of parents now too, because that is what I get from the parent, that they have to buy data, they have to worry about network, they have to think about power, which is not stable in our country, Nigeria in focus. So how do they cope with all of this? And 6 lessons happening on a daily basis. Who will send a timetable with 6 lessons? Or are you in support? I may just be on my own. Maybe you are in support of 6 lessons for a day, 6 hours, back to back like that for children, and that 6 hours of screen time for them to do, and then after which you leave activities for them to do after you've left the 6 hours of lesson. Each of these 6 hours also have activities for them to do. So that could be the reason why most parents are feeling overwhelmed already with all of this. So let's hear you out again. If you engage your children in conversation sincerely, you will feel their pain as they find it difficult to come to term with the happening around the world regarding coronavirus. Absolutely. Thank you for this. So if you're engaging with the children, already children have a lot of things emotional happening to them, coming to terms with the pandemic, to go outside for play, coming to terms with not having to go to the mall, coming to terms with not having to go for movies, coming to terms with not having to go to the park, and then also confronted with a lot of pressure from parents. You need to do your work, you need to do your assignment, another assignment to be submitted tomorrow, and then the pressure from school. Oh, you have not submitted. Have you had an engagement? Have you discussed with the children to know what they feel? Do we need to know the perspective? This is part one. We're going to be knowing the perspective of children, because I've passed on, when this topic came on, a lot of phone calls I received, and I've told those parents, I'm going to ask you to let your children write to me and tell me what they think about this process, what they think about e-learning, what they think. Yes, e-learning is a good thing. It helps children all over the world. It's a welcome development. We cannot shy away from it. We cannot overlook it. It is very good. But how we embrace and how we transit to it is very important, and also very important for the child, especially because the undertone now is COVID-19. It's not e-learning and school happening, alongside and, regular school. It is e-learning alone, and that is because it's a pandemic. Let's get that right, and let's know how this will impact upon our children. Okay, another comment here is saying, has anyone thought about safeguarding for the parents who have to sublet e-learning support to family, friends, or possibly house support, since some parents will have to go to work from 9 to 5? Okay, safeguarding. Have anybody thought about safeguarding? That's a good one then. Thank you for those feedback we're getting from parents. As we get it from parents, we're going to be posting it through the Ziva Better Team platform to you. So have you thought about safeguarding? I was saying, I was in one of the training, and somebody mentioned how some teachers are beginning to engage with secondary school children by 7, 8 o'clock in the night to give them feedback. How can you be giving feedback to a child, to a student by 7, 8 in the night? What happened to the time? Have you put our ground rules for this learning, online learning? Have you told your teachers the ground rules? When to engage with the children and when not to engage with the students? When the time closes and when to stop? When not to give feedback? Not because it's happening online, you're giving feedback at 8 p.m. in the night and the child has to respond back to you. And then some of the secondary school children have their phones to themselves. What happens to safeguarding? What happens to the children? What happens if the children leave where they're supposed to be and go and start exploring online? How do you even know the children are engaging absolutely with you? So a lot of things is happening, and we need to reflect. And I said to you earlier, I'm not here to cast a stone on anybody, but I'm here for us to reflect, so that we can have a reflective discussion. We can reflect on what is happening to us as schools. We can reflect on what is happening to us as parents. We can reflect on what is happening to us as a nation. We can reflect on what is happening to us as a people, as a nation, as government. What has government, if not for what is happening, why are schools pushing for this e-learning? Why are private schools pushing for this e-learning? Apart from the fact that they want to give the children, for the well-being of the child, another reason is because they want to keep their business going. They want to take care of their teachers. And if we have a government where they have taken into cognizance this aspect, that the private sector needs to be supported, the private sector in education needs to be supported. They need a kind of support for their teachers, so they don't go overboard and putting a lot of burden on parents. Because parents is this family is a unit we don't want to lose as a nation. We want to keep family very healthy. We want our family to remain intact. We want the emotional development, the emotion of our parents, emotional intelligence to be intact. We don't want our parents to lose it at this time. And if the pressure comes on parents, where do you think they will push it to? Where do you think they'll transfer the aggression on? The children. So at the end of the day, we're trying to support the children, but it may end up destroying the children before we resume. So this is just like I told you, is a reflection, a reflective meeting. So we know where we are and how we can be able to give support. Thank you very much for that input. I feel as a parent that e-learning is a reassurance that school is still in place and an opportunity to interact with their peers and teachers. Very good. Thank you, Faith, for that input. When it's well done, it is a way to know that school is still happening And what happens, like I said in my question, are there children who are left behind? A teacher was saying to me 2 weeks ago, she said, on the platform I manage, I have about 20 children in the classroom. But then those who have engaged in this e-learning have only been 3-4 children. 3-4 children. Now, 3-4 children engaging in a class of 20, is that called engagement? That means we are leaving some children behind. Why are these children left behind? Why are these parents not forthcoming? What is happening? Have you rang them to find out? And when I asked the question, have you rang the parents to find out why they're not engaging? She said, yes. Some parents say they have only one gadget at home and they cannot cope. They have 3 children with one gadget. How do they cope with e-learning? Some parents say, oh, they cannot cope with the data for all of the children. Some say, oh, that the network keeps fluctuating and they cannot cope. So are we being carried? Are we ready for it as a nation? Are we ready for this process? Remember I said to you, this is just a reflective discussion so that at the end of the day, everybody knows where to draw the line and what to do going forward. When all of this is over, how can we now support our school? How can we support schools? How can we work in partnership with school? How can we work in partnership with parents so that at the end of the day, the most important person in all of them is a child? I believe that we're doing this e-learning because of the child. If at the end of the day, the child is not benefiting from it, then we have lost as parents. We have missed it as educators. And that is what I want us to take cognizance of. Like you said, personal social emotional development is the bedrock of this right now. Yes, personal social emotional development is the bedrock of this right now. Now, concerning safeguarding, has anyone thought about the possible sexual child abuse that may result because parents let their children to unprofessional carers? Now, unprofessional carers, should parents even leave their children to unprofessional carers at this time? And that is why at school, you need to effectively engage with your parents and let them know. You need to also educate them about screen time, about how to keep their children safe online, about what to do, about the limitation for children, about the limitation where they stop, where they start. You need to educate them properly. Have you done that education? Have you educated them properly? Have you told them what to do and what not to do? Have you told the children where to go and where not to go? Have you told them the military? Have you put a lot of safeguarding? Have you put a lot of safety on the gadget your child is using? What have you done to safeguard your child? This is, like I said, a reflection so that we can all know what to do. So when they have to go to work, they have no choice. At this time, this week, a lot of parents have to go to work and they have to leave their children for uncles and aunties. What is happening? I know somebody said on our platform, what will happen when we resume work? Another person said the same thing will happen if they're on holidays. When we're on holidays, yes, this holiday has taken too long and it's still ongoing. So if a child is left an uncle or an auntie, because these parents have to also safeguard his or her work, what happens if this child is being sexually abused? I'm just asking you to reflect on all of this. So when we're making decisions, we know the way forward. I know I'm bringing up a lot of kinds of worms so that you know what to do as an educator, as a parent, and prepare yourself, going forward. Let me hear you. Mr. Kidena is saying, as a literacy teacher, I inspire my children to capture their feeling in poems about what is happening around them. I get to hear their perspective, their emotions, very good, and their perspective, their emotions, their hopes, and even their despair. Very good one. Very, very good. Thank you for that. That helps me to have a deep discussion with them. This is a strategy utilized. I want you to also go online and read up most of these thoughts that have been dropped by these educators. Somebody is saying that he has used poems to engage the children to know what is happening to them. So as the children relate their thoughts, the inner problem, the inner feelings to the teacher through poem, the teacher uses that to support the learning and know how to speak to the children. Like I said earlier, we're talking about safeguarding of children even online. This is time where a lot of evil is going on. Yes, I agree with you. So how can we help curb this evil? What are you putting in place as a parent? What are you putting in place as an educator? What are we doing? How are we supporting the child? It is better they are engaged than being vulnerable. The aftermath is scary. Very true. I agree with you. So like I said to you, this is just a reflection, a reflective discussion of all that have been coming in, all the feeders have been getting, people's different school of thoughts. Most parents are saying, why ask me to pay for a service that I'm the one delivering indirectly? And then if you don't pay for that service, what happens to the teachers? How would they be paid? How would they manage? How would they cope at this transitional period? How would they manage? And then as a school owner, what are you asking your parents to pay? Remember, this is not school fees. So you cannot put an outrageous sum out there and expect the parents to smile to the bank to pay you or to make a transfer to you. We all have to be reasonable. There needs to be a lot of partnership discussion. This is when this partnership we've been talking about, this partnership relationship, this is when we bring it to bear. This is when we become very practical about it. Have a discussion with the parent. Where can we meet them? Tell them what you want to offer. Tell them how much it's going to cost you. Tell them how much you wear. Let the parents also tell you what they're willing to pay. Then you meet each other halfway. That will be very helpful. And that will be a way going forward. Instead of just dumping that idea and telling them this is what to pay and that is it. Those who don't pay, you're off the platform. I'm not going to. Let's also know we're working for the best interest of the children. So I'm just bringing all of this up so that we can know where we stand. And if you have more ideas, more opinions based on the question that we threw out from the beginning, it is time for you to share your opinions and let us know how you feel about all of them. And most importantly, if your child is engaged in this e-learning, how is your child taking it? How is your child engaging? How is your child feeling? How have you pep talk? Okay, a father told me last week that I have to do a lot of pep talk for my children. I have to prepare their mind. I have to tell them what they are going to be doing. And I have to even tell the school, that they cannot, I will not attend this class or this class. So this parent is also taking ownership and deciding what he wants for his child and what he doesn't want. So there's a lot going on and we need to know what our children can take. What about the children? I was with India last week and we're talking about, okay, how will you support the children with learning difficulty at this time? The children with special needs at this time. How are they being engaged? Is the screen time enough? So most parents are becoming overwhelmed because even getting them settled to watch, getting them settled to learn has not been easy. So there's a lot to deal with, and I want us to be able to understand it. That we're going to make mistakes as educators. We may not get it right as parents, but it is indeed a learning process. It is a learning process, and as we go one step at a time, no pressure, please. Let's not put pressure on parents. Let's not put pressure on teachers. Let's not put pressure on any individual. There is a lot of pressure with COVID-19. Let's also not allow pressure in the education sector, because this is not good for anybody. That pressure is not needed at this time. That pressure cannot help us be effective. So let's not put pressure on anyone. Let's take it one thing at a time, one thing at a time. Let's go on it. We'll make mistakes, we'll come out of it, we'll learn from the process, and we'll keep getting better. So this is just the first episode of this, and I'm going to be getting more feedback from you as parents and how you have coped. And then, our dear early years children, how have you engaged with them? Remember, you can't keep them on the screen for too long. Somebody said to me, why ask me to pay for an early years child for e-learning? What is she going to learn? And this is where you have to have a communication also with your parents to know what will work for them. Are they okay with just 1 week of Zoom storytelling, rhyming time? Are they okay with that? Are they okay with just that your phone call and discussing with that child? Are they okay with just engaging with their children by themselves until the school reopens? You can't put any pressure on any child and on any adult or any parent at this time. All right, let me have more of your feedback before we wrap it up. How has the school leadership bodies, can't see this, let's see, sorry, let me see this, I can't see this. How have they, what, sorry, I can't see. Okay, he said, how has the school leadership bodies galvanized support for the telecom companies to help support as a social corporate responsibility? Oh wow, the data usage by schools and parents at this time. Well done, that's a good one. So how have you worked in partnership with telecom companies as a school to help reduce this for your parents? Well, how have you, how have the school body, how have the education sector, everybody come together to see how can we support our parents? How have you been able to harness this so that these parents will not be overburdened with data? This is a good one here. So what have you done, so that this data that is being bought, is there a way that data can be bought for all parents, and there's a way to, to bring down the cost of data, from the top for these parents? What is MTN doing to support education? What is Etisalat doing to support education? What is Glo? What are they doing? What is this telecom communication doing at this time to support education in Nigeria? What are they doing? And that is what this parent is saying. How have we engaged with this telecom communication? What is their own palliative to parents at this time with children, so they can be able to have free data for their children to learn? What have they done? That's a good one. That is there. This is a call for telecommunication companies. It's not a time for you to just be taking. People are buying data. What have you done to ease the pain for parents at this time? What have you done to ease the pain for school, for teachers at this time? What are you doing to make it much more, better? Are they making so much money now? Are they taking advantage of this situation to make money from schools, to make money from parents, because everybody has gone online? If you see, everybody now everything has gone digital. So are they taking advantage of this situation? Or what are they doing to help the education sector? What are the telecommunication companies doing to help this education sector? They need to give back. This is the time for them to give back. So how are they giving back? At the telecommunication, I told you in the beginning that this is just a reflective discussion, so that we know where we all stand and we know what we can do going forward to support each other. So this is a call from a parent that schools should engage with telecommunication bodies. Maybe the association of school owners should come together and engage with telecommunication bodies. They need to give back to the country. They need to give back to parents. They need to give back to schools. They need to give back to parents at this time. They need to support parents. It's not a time that you buy data before you know it's gone. It's gone, and then everything is inflated. Telecommunication companies, if you're listening to me, it is time for you to give back. What are you doing to support learning at this time? Remember, we're talking about the future of Nigeria. The children are our focus, and where they are, how they feel, how this will reflect on all of them. We don't want parents to be pressured, and when they are pressured, they push it. They transfer their pressure on our children, and before you know it, your children are becoming very drained emotionally at home. No, we want the home to be a very conducive place, for our children. I want our teachers, as essential workers too, to be supported at this time, because teachers remain essential workers at this time, and they need to be supported. All right, let me hear you. Said Kiduna is saying, I think the parents have a greater role to play in this e-learning era. Yes. They play an overwhelming role of safeguarding and supervising the children during the e-learning process in the light of all of this. Okay, children, sorry, I need to read this again. Okay, they need to work in partnership, has to strengthen with adequately, to cater for the needs of the children and also for the sanity of the parent. Very true. Parents and school need to work together at this time for the sanity of the children. Joy here says, wow, very interesting point highlighted here. Well done, Mrs. David. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So yes, I like that point raised that the telecommunication company should come in here. Like I said earlier, I started this live broadcast, and before I knew it, I was cut off and I couldn't even connect. I tried 2 different modems I had and I couldn't connect until finally, thank God, this one connected. So we face these problems as a nation. So there's a lot we're not where the Western world are in terms of e-learning and education and all that, but we're trying to get them. And a lot we should know that it's going to be one step at a time. No pressure should be put on parents, neither should we put pressure on teachers, and no pressure should be put on children either. We need to support the children at this time, because already in their emotional development they're going through a lot. They're not in social interaction, is not really happening. Zoom is not social interaction. Yes, it's helpful, but it's not like having and playing with your friends and having those social times, that exchanging smiles, a hug, a clap, a high five from your teacher is not the same high five you get on the screen. So there's a lot our children are dealing with, and we also need to take cognizance of them. And we have looked at the challenges that the parents are going through, are being confronted as parents. We have also looked at the challenges of the younger children. We have also looked at your experiences as educators. Thank you very much. This is just the part 1 of this discussion. Like I said, it is just a reflective discussion to know what is happening and where we are as a school. And I like the points that have been brought forward about safeguarding. I like the points that have been brought up about working in partnership with parents. I like the points that have been brought up about engaging with the parents and letting them know and reaching an agreement with them. I like the points about asking the telecommunication company to come up with a form of palliative for parents and schools, for teachers, so that they can be able to engage with their children. And I also like the point that have been brought up about children being at the center of this, having that pep talk with them, having to carry them along, having to explain to them, and also not needing to expose them to a lot of screen time because we're doing e-learning. Let's be very flexible with all of this, and let's see how we can move forward with this as a nation. And I also like the point about the government coming in to support the private sector at this time. So there's not a lot of pressure on school owners to start asking parents for a lot, and the parents are also overwhelmed and being pressured that they're doing teaching and they're being asked to pay money and all of this. A lot of pressure from every quarter. So I want you to be able to look at all of this, and I thank you. This is another thought coming from and teachers too should work as a team. This is not the time to divide and rule. Oh, very good one. Or to lobby school management for roles. No teacher is useless here. As a teacher, if you are used more than others, more than your colleagues, don't use it as a put down. Oh, very important point. At this time, some schools are beginning to cut down. I don't know if a school should cut down on their teachers. Some teachers are losing their job at this time. It's a shame, And then some schools are feeling that, I actually had a call last week by a school owner, and he said she was going to have a discussion with her teachers, and she's not going to be needing them, some of them, at this time of COVID-19, because they are not techie savvy and they cannot be able to engage with children online. They don't have that confidence to talk, to teach online and all of that. And I said to her, some of those teachers have been the one who have supported you to grow your school to where you are now. Some of them may not be, good in technology, but then everybody have to learn at this time. That is the next. That is where we are going to. So we all have to learn as a teacher. But if you're not there yet, should you discard that teacher at this time because that teacher is not groomed, is not technically supporting you at this time? Remember, COVID-19 will be over. Schools will be open. and you need that teacher back. That teacher may just be very good at emotional support for children. That teacher may just be very good at relationship with children. That teacher may be very good when it comes to teaching children on one-on-one level. That no teacher is useless. So this is not a time for anybody to feel more superior than the other. It is time for us to work as a team, as educators, work together to support the school, work together to support the parent, work together to ensure that everybody is having a goal. Work as a team. Don't put that any other teacher. Don't put that any other educator. Very, very important. Okay, there's another point here by a parent. By say this is the time. Okay, let me see. Let me read from my phone. So this is the time to establish good and effective collaboration with parents. Constant contact with parents. Sharing. Thank you. Thank you, Felicia Dijico. This is coming all the way from Ireland. Thank you for joining us on this, and thank you for your contribution. I really appreciate. Very, very important. So she's saying here, it is time for us to collaborate more with parents, constant contact with parents, sharing ideas and online materials with them will be great. Some of them have no clue. Yes, absolutely. Some of them have no clue of what to do, especially those caring for children with additional needs. I know she was going to say that. Mrs. Dejiko is one of our trainers on special education needs, special education for children with autism and all on the spectrum, and children having educational needs, all the way from Ireland. And this is where she has said that a lot of parents, we need to constantly engage with the parent, because some of them don't have a clue. They don't know what to do. They are tired. These children have to stay with them 24/7 every time they're confronted with this. And they're tired, they don't even know what to do. So this is the time we need to support them as schools. We need to work with them. We need to maintain constant communication. According to her here, constant and effective communication with parents. There can never be enough of it. So thank you for that feedback. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us all the way from Ireland, and thank you, Ms. Sabu, also joining us all the way from the United States. I really appreciate all of you who has been on this platform today to ensure we have this conversation. Like I said to you, this is a part 1. I'm going to come up with a part 2 of the discussion. Remember, our children are our priority. 1, for early years children, don't overburden them with screen time. Take it easy. They learn on the go. Even house chores is learning happening. A lot of things you do with them on daily basis. Eating is learning happening. You can teach them through that. You don't need to put them under any pressure to also do homework, or you send them assignments online that you submit. No, please don't put a lot of pressure on our early years children. Let's take it easy. That singing with your child at home is enough. Rhyming with your child at home is enough. Doing book reading with a child at home is enough. And then if there's anything the school can do through Zoom, through some videos online, no, that's fine, that's enough. Let's take cognizance of the children and how the children are faring at this time. Let's take it easy. Let's understand where they are. Let's know how to support them. Let's also not give them bulky assignments, like you just want to, like a competition, you're loading information overload. You're just overloading them with this worksheet, another worksheet, another. They've not even finished it. They're overloading with another one. Please take it easy. Give them time. There's a lot to deal with. So I really thank you for all your thoughts. Thank you, all of you who have joined me today. It's been very interesting having this conversation with you. And I want you all to go back and read all the comments by these wonderful parents, educators, professionals on this platform. I appreciate all of you. Like I said, this is just to reflect on our practices and reflect on what we've been doing over this time. In the beginning of my conversation, I told you about a parent who called and said that he's tired, that this meeting has started since March, that the parents have not allowed them to rest on the platform. It's been one activity to the other. The whole of March, the whole of April, and now to start in May, that they should please take it easy. That's a cry of a parent. And then the educators are also saying, we want to engage our children. We don't want them to come back and they've forgotten all that we've taught them. It's going to be a lot of hard work on us, and we don't want that to happen. Let's find a balance. Let's find a meeting point. And at the center of it all, let's think about our children and how this is impacting upon them. Let's not be too hard on them as parents. Let's not be too hard on them as school and overloading them with a lot of activities. Let's take it easy. And let's also know that this is a transitional period. This will pass and we'll come back, and then we'll have learned from all of this. And like I said, also in wrapping up, it also came here that the telecommunication companies should please see what they can do for schools and parents at this time. That is a food for thought. And then the government should also see what they can do to support the private sector, so that the pressure on the private sector is not enormous for them to be putting that burden on parents. Because if we don't, no matter how we want to hide it, it's going to have an effect on our children. And we don't want the children. At the end of the day, those who are going to be at the receiving point of all of this, all our decisions, will be our children. And we want to safeguard them at this time. Thank you all for coming live with me. Thank you for remaining here. I remain Vivian Davis, and I'm happy and I appreciate your coming live with me. So when we look at part 2, we're going to be getting thoughts of children. I'm going to ask people to bring in from children different quarters what they feel, and from there we'll know the perspective of the children in all of this and how they are seeing this, and how we can also, what has come up. And if you have your thoughts, keep dropping it. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining. Until I come your way again very soon, because the part 2 of this is coming up. Thank you, all of you who have joined. I appreciate it. Have a beautiful week, and keep safe, keep washing your hands, keep up your face mask, ensure to keep yourself safe, keep your children safe, and keep your neighbors safe. Your safety also matters. Everybody, we're all in it together, and together we will overcome this. Together this will pass. Together we will come out of this as schools, as parents, as a nation, as the world. Thank you. Have a beautiful afternoon and take care. Keep safe. Bye.